Hi everybody, welcome back to Contemplative Knitting. If you're new to the channel, I'm glad you're here. Got some fun stuff to talk about today, and for those of you who are subscribers and have been around for a while, welcome back. My Afghan hound just came up to see what I was doing, just bumped her head on the table, but we're gonna just ignore her like she ignores me because she's more like a cat than a dog. Anyway, January was a very busy month. A lot of sickness in the grandkids, so Grandma was out helping. Definitely gave me some knitting time though, because I have 4 finished objects to tell you about. Now, I started this sweater back in December, and it was really fun, and I finished it in January. I love the way the star motif continues here, and it's got an I-cord bind off here. I love the yarn. I talked about it on the last podcast. Let me just remind you, it's by one of our local independent dyers here in Rochester. It's Meg's and Company, and this is the Barbos Star Sweater, and I really recommend the pattern. It was easy to follow. It was just a great pattern. I did do the short rows for the back. There is no I-cord at the bottom. It's just a normal ribbing at the bottom, but I did do the short rows in the back, so it comes down a little bit more in the back. I can pull the sleeves down a little bit. They kind of come up, but I think it fits really well. The yarn is great. It's just really, really happy with it. I was lucky to have a skein left over, one skein left over of the this beautiful yarn. This is called Shoreline. It's, as I said, Meg's and Company, and it's a DK merino, so it's 100% superwash merino wool. There were 230 yards, and this one is Shoreline, and the gold is called Acorn. So what I decided to do with some of the leftover yarn was to make the Point Edward mitts. And selfishly, I was going to keep them because they would obviously match the sweater, but there was a friend of mine who had a January birthday, and I thought she could use them, and so I happily gifted them to her for a birthday present. So if you don't know about the Point Edward mitts, the pattern's on Ravelry. I found out about it on Needles at the Ready, because it was Ray who was knitting the Point Edward mitts. And I love the concept because it's a fingerless glove, but you knit them really long so they go over your fingers, and then you can fold them back. Because I like to wear fingerless gloves so I can access my iPhone, have my fingers out and ready, but it gets super cold up here. This way you can close it down on your fingers, and the same thing for your thumbs. So here is my picture in my Ravelry, which is under Julie Sikora, Cicora, of my Point Edward mitts. So you can see on one hand, I've got them folded down, and on the other hand, I folded them back. So I made them long, and I love it, and I love the yarn with it, and so I'm definitely going to make some more of those. I still have another skein left over of this Shoreline color and some Acorn, and so I'm going to try brioche. I know, I tried it once before. I totally gave up, but I've been going to this knitting group at my local yarn store, which is Lift Bridge Yarns in Fairport, New York. And there's this wonderful woman there who made the most beautiful brioche shawl. And then she had hat and mittens and a cowl. And I thought, okay. So one of the kind people at the store suggested that I do a beginner cowl. And there's loads of patterns. All you have to do is put beginner brioche cowl on into the Ravelry search, and there's countless ones that come up. So I think I may do that. So that's kind of my brioche learning plan. I really love the shawl this woman made, but I think I can't really call myself an expert knitter if I've never done brioche. So it's funny how leftover yarn can just take you down a path, because I definitely, if I have a whole skein, I want to do something with it. I could always give it away, I suppose, but it's fun to find like a cool project for that you don't have to buy anything except perhaps maybe a pattern. So this was my first FO in 2023, and I whipped off the Point Edward Mitts on the train ride to New York. We met two families there with 6 grandkids. That was a trip, trying to keep track of 6 kids on the streets of New York. It was a lot of fun, and I think the kids will remember it. So we did do the Encanto experience, which was fun. But I'll tell you, the Color Museum in New York City for kids, we all had a blast there. So it's a great thing. So if you get to Manhattan, go to the Color Museum if you have young children. My second finished object is I got on the Lento train. So there's this pattern called the Lento, and people are making Lento sweaters, and there's Lento cals, and I'm not really good at like kind of following up on the cals and stuff, but I do like to see what people are knitting, and I think it's fun to knit sweaters that people are doing. And so there's this kind of raglan craze, and this is the Lento sweater pattern on Ravelry. It's just a raglan plain sweater, folded over collar. So while I was at my local yarn store, I go there once a week now and sit and knit, which is just fabulous because I can talk to other people that are as crazed as I am about patterns and yarn and needles and on and on and on. It really helps me, and there's 4 actual sessions you can go and knit, which is awesome. So I had in my stash some cashmere, and here it is, and oh my gosh, it is soft. I had 3 skeins of this. Now I have 1, so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with this one, but I had a pattern for it, and the only way I can describe the sweater, you only used 1 strand of this. It's super thin, as you can see. It's a mohair weight. I don't know if they call that lace weight or what, but the pattern was for this sweater that looked like a pirate shirt. So if you can remember the Jerry Seinfeld episode where I think it was Jerry was wearing a pirate shirt. So big blousey sleeves, kind of a cuff that comes in, and kind of a blousey thing. And so as I was going through my stash, and my stash is in works in progress, it's not in balls of yarn, I looked at that sweater and I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way I would ever wear that, or anyone I know would wear it. So I really need to find something to do with this. Probably was very expensive cashmere yarn. So I went to my local yarn store, and they have another independent dyer there who has a wall of really cool yarn. The name of her company is Muru. And I wanted some fingering, and I got her, it's Mood Swing Sakura Light is the color, and it's a fingering superwash merino / silks, 80/20, 400 yards. So I bought 2 skeins of that, and this is what I have left. It is, I thought it went well with this pink cashmere. So I now have a Lento sweater with these 2 yarns held together, which I got done in 3 weeks. I mean, oh my gosh, this is so soft. It's just incredible. So here it is. Beautiful, fold over collar. So you do a provisional cast on and then bind it off. It's so much fun. It's a beautiful raglan sweater. I ended up making the smallest size, and it came out great, and it fits perfectly. It's so soft, and you can see in the hand-dyed yarn, the fingering weight, that there are some gradations in color, but there's no pooling. I mean, it's just I used one skein totally up and then went to the second skein. I've worn this a few times. It's just super cozy and soft, and I absolutely love it. The same dyer has a color called Bruised Pear, and another woman at the knitting group made a Lento sweater out of that, and it's a green. It's like, if you think of a pear and you think of that green, it's like that. The color was absolutely gorgeous. I saw that and then I thought, oh, I'm gonna jump on that Lento wagon. If you've never knit a whole sweater before, I think it's a good one to start with. It's pretty easy, and because it's on size 10 needles, it goes very quickly. It was funny because I was out with my husband. I wore this last night, actually, out with my husband, and we're sitting listening to some music, and he was kind of behind me because we're on stools listening to this bluegrass band, and he whispered to me, "You knit every stitch of that sweater?" I mean, I think it dawned on him, like, yes, because he sees me knitting at night. Yeah, I knit every stitch of this sweater, but I think it looks good for being on size 10 needles. I mean, I love the Love Note and the Ranunculus, and now I'm a big fan of the Lento. As my friend who did the Bruised Peach one, or Bruised Pear one, she said she'd want one in every color, and I agree. I think the cashmere just made it even more stupendous. I have to figure out what I'm gonna do with this other ball, so we'll see where that goes. I did buy a tool at the local yarn store at Lift Bridge Yarns in Fairport, which has made my knitting of sweaters 10 times easier. There's 3 different kits. These are Chowgoos, and this is a Chowgoo interchangeable needle set that has short the wires, of whatever you call the wires that you put on the needle tips. And it's like made for knitting sleeves. I mean, it just makes it so easy. So the yellow, and I love the packaging. So they have this little pocket here. I don't have anything in there. That didn't come with anything in there. But this set, the yellow set, is for the larger size needle. So this is US 9, 10, 10 and a half, and 11. Comes in this cool little case. And so you get those needles in the yellow set, and then they give you these wires and cables, that's what they're called, 6-inch and 8-inch. So yeah, it just makes it super easy to attach here. And then for me, the sleeves of that Lento were on a 10-inch needle, 10-inch size. So I could take the 10-inch tips and put them on the 6-inch cable. It comes with this little gauge finder and needle checker. And then you get this little pack, so you can, there's some stitch markers, there's the little tool to tighten it. I'm assuming this little rubber heart here is so you can grasp the needle and get them unscrewed easily. I just love this. They're expensive. I won't, you need to be prepared, but this will last me the rest of my life. And as long as I'm knitting sleeves in the round, I'm going to be real happy doing it. So I got this one. Then I wanted some for other sizes. Now this one has a lot of sizes. The blue kit comes with the snaps here. So this is the needle tip case. Comes with a lot. So this one goes from a 4. It's got 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And there's 2 rows. So there's 2 4s. One is long tips and one has short tips. So this is what you get. So you get a long tip and a short tip in this kit. So you get the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which is fabulous. I just love it. So, I mean, these are going to go with me when I travel. And of course, then you get the cables. And they're blue cables to go with the blue bag. These are kind of clear, and I think in the red one they have red cables. So this is a 5-inch, a 6-inch cable. So a 5-inch cable, 6-inch cable, and an 8-inch cable comes with it. And then you have this little ruler with the needle sizer and a little bag with the tools and some stitch markers and some ends if you want to put an end on one thing, which I did do. So these are, I think, if you're knitting sweaters and you're doing sleeves, or if you want to knit socks, the red kit I think is the very small needles. So I got these two, and I may end up, I'm not a real sock knitter, as I said the last time, because I had second sock syndrome. I always get second sock syndrome, and I appreciate the help that I got from all of you about how to do 2 at a time, or to knit, you know, how to get knitting the second sock. Finally, someone told me to just suck it up and knit it, so I did. Yes, I'm very happy with myself that I finally, this is an old work in progress. So I finally got them done. I don't know where the pattern came from, unfortunately. I had it written out, but you can see it's called the Wavey. It's a wavy lacy pattern. And then, you know, it's a regular heel flap and gusset. And the pattern continues on down until you kind of start decreasing for the toe. What I really love about it, oh, that was my husband, scared me. What I really love about it is the scalloped, instead of doing a ribbing at the top, you do this little scallop pattern. And I think that looks really cool, especially with the lace. So I'm really psyched that I finished these. So we have the sweater, Lento, the socks, and the Point Edward mitts. Pretty awesome. Now, I'm a little out of control with my works in progress. I have too many to count at this point. I'm going to show you what's most active. Some I think I've talked about on this. Some are kind of new. So I talked about this, and I talked about the yarn previously, but I have started the baby blanket, and this is a cotton yarn. It is let's see, what's the brand? It's Blue Sky Fiber cotton yarn. So I'm in the middle of a row, of course, didn't think about that. But you can see I'm making the small size because it's, you know, I'm for a baby stroller or whatever. I love it. I love the pattern. I'm starting the color thing over. So it starts with that dark blue down there, and then a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter, and now we're starting over again. So my daughter-in-law saw what I was going to make for this child and said, maybe you should pick a different pattern. So she helped me look, and this pattern is called Bounce, and I actually did kind of go with the colors that the pattern has, and it's by Tin Can Knits. So I did start knitting on this, and I kind of was going down the road happily knitting and thought I knew how to do this part of it, and I didn't. So a little bit of a humbling experience. It's like, okay, I can do this kind of decrease, and you've got to do it on a purl side and a knit side. And so I Googled the abbreviations for this part of the pattern, and up comes a video by Tin Can Knits. They were totally prepared for people who were making this. They have a video out there and it's super simple, but it's not what I had in my head. So I like how this is coming. My husband and I are getting ready March 1st to travel from Rochester, New York down to where one of our sons lives in Alabama and pick up our RV to spend about 5 weeks on the road in the RV. And this is definitely going because I got to get it done. That baby's due in June and I want to get it done. So I like knitting on it. It's fun. It's quick. It's fairly decent sized needles. So I'm happy about it. I mean, this is not any kind of drudgery or anything, but it's big. It's going to we have to drive our Jeep down because we tow the Jeep behind the RV. So I'm very limited with what I can fit in that Jeep on the way down. So I said to my husband, I might be shipping some things to our son in Alabama because I'm worried they're not going to fit in the Jeep. Other works in progress that I have going, I talked about the yarn I bought in Arizona, which is this, and I thought it was lovely. So I bought it's only one skein though. It's this delicious yarn from the Tempe, Arizona store. So I thought I would make some fingerless gloves out of that. And I'm making the penny gloves. And I bought from my local yarn store this gorgeous mohair. I'm going to have to come up with a project. Maybe a striped something with mohair because I've got some blue mohair left over. I'm sure I'm going to have this kind of this color mohair left over. But I just kind of started that. I started on the needles that they recommended for the penny gloves. Let me look up the penny gloves. And the gauge was way off. I don't do a gauge swatch for fingerless mitts. It's pretty easy to see if they're going to work or not. But this is the pattern that I'm doing. It's a very simple, plain, it's the mitt on the left. Very simple, plain pattern. It's by Petite Knit. So it's called Penny Gloves by Petite Knit. So I had to go down a couple needle sizes with this. But no big deal. Right now this is my TV knitting because I'm just going around and around. I need like 4 inches or something for this. They will go quickly. I mean, who knows, maybe I'll make a hat. I like the color. It's pretty. That's what I decided to do with that. I made the honey beeswax hat, and I'm a little bit stalled on these fingerless gloves. I had this whole skein of yarn left from another project, and so there's a cowl I could do, but I made the hat. I'm kind of stalling out on these fingerless mitts. I don't know if I want to do a cowl, Oh shoot, I've got a bunch of stitches that have come off, like a whole needle that came off. I'm not worried about it because the yarn is sticky. It's not going to unravel, so I'll get that later. Then I got very excited about this sweater called Arctic Light. Oh, so I've been following this woman. I watch her podcasts. Her name is Veronica Lindberg, and she's got a podcast. It starts with a K. I mean, you could look up, if you Google and YouTube Arctic Light sweater, her tutorial will come up. She's just fun. She's got a podcast. She knit and designed and knit her own wedding dress. And the episodes about that, I think, are hysterical. I mean, you're like, oh my God, you're going to do that, and you're going to do that. And then there's one part where she's crying because she can't get it to fit. I mean, it's like your worst nightmare, some parts of it as a knitter, but it turned out incredibly beautiful. So anyway, this is the Arctic Light sweater. Sorry for the glare from the glasses, but look at that. It's beautiful, beautiful cables. The sleeves have cables. It's a raglan. Look at that. I just think it's gorgeous. I do like cables. So she's doing a bunch of tutorials on this sweater, and you know, I think it's good. I've knit a lot of cabled sweaters in my life, but some of these are really unusual. And if I just read the instructions, I think, oh, I might have struggled over that, but she's got the tutorials. So I went to my local yarn store, which I am very grateful that we have a local yarn store. So I am doing my personal best to support Liftbridge Yarns in Fairport because I want them to be there. It's a place to go to knit. Their yarn selection is gorgeous, and the owners are tremendous. So I went there and I decided to go with gray. Didn't want to do the white. I thought gray would be nice. I did a swatch, which I don't have on me here, but the cable definition is perfect. So this gray mohair is spun right round gray mohair. It's a mohair silk. So I got that. It's 72% kid mohair and 28% silk. And it's called Cloud. This color is called Cloud. So then I got this, which is, oh, I love this yarn. It is by a local dyer in Rochester. Again, it's the same Guru dyer who did that bruised pear and that gorgeous pink. This color, this is in our Moonlight DK. It is a DK sweater, and it's called Hint. The color is Hint. So I've got this combination. I did the gauge swatch. I did cabling for the gauge swatch, which is what she suggested. And now I've started the neck, which is a twisted rib, which I don't enjoy doing twisted rib, but I do like how it looks. And it is going to have a fold down collar. So I'm struggling. Do I bring this to Florida? I mean, I don't know if I'm going to want to knit on a sweater, heavy sweater in Florida. I mean, it could be 60 degrees down there. It's not really the weather. It's just the idea. So I'm trying to decide, is this going to hibernate for a while and I'll pick it up in the fall? But I'm really excited about knitting it. So jury's out. I have to be realistic. I know I have to finish that blanket, so I have to be realistic if I'm going to bring this with me, because I have another project that I've started. So I just started this. I think it will go fast, even though it's cables all over, because it's size 8 needles, and the swatch went pretty quickly. I have started this lace and fade. Sorry for the crinkling. I did open the bags ahead of time. This lace and fade Boxy by Johi Locatelli, which I'll show you that pattern. It is gorgeous. It took me a while to figure out how to start the thing. So this is what it looks like. So it's basically very, very oversized boxy sweater, and then the sleeves are kind of tight. They kind of encircle, but it's a kind of a layering piece, and you can see that there is some lace. So where you see the lace is mohair, and the other part is fingering, and she's done a fade. So I don't know. I was at Espastrico in Montreal, and I bought this yarn to make this sweater. Decided I wanted to do a fade, and now I realize that I'm going to end up with a lot of fingering yarn left over. But how can that be bad, right? Yarn left over. So anyway, this is, how wide this thing is. This is just the back. This is not the front. This is the top of it. And it kind of goes down. There were a lot of short rows. I'm on the lace part with the mohair, which is very kind of disconcerting. You're like, really? I should just be using this mohair for this part? But yes. So I'm definitely taking this because, I mean, this would be a nice layering piece in 60-degree weather or air-conditioned place or whatever. And I have all these fun colors to use. I've shown them on another episode, so I won't bore you with it again, but look at this. This is like a rose gold mohair. Oh, love it. Which would go really well with that purple mohair. There's going to have to be some mohair kind of thing happening in the future with all my leftover mohair yarn. I wonder if, does anyone know of a good just like overall mohair pattern? I mean, I did the Phantom Fizz, and I did that with mohair, but I think I used 2 strands. Anyway, I could do a Phantom Fizz maybe with stripes. So that's going on. That is definitely going to in the RV. Oh, let me show you this. 2 other things that I have to grab right here. Oh. I started another sweater, which with mohair. Here's another mohair. And the cashmere from Venice, Italy, that I bought at that store. So it's a lace weight cashmere with the mohair held together. And I just started this. It's gonna be, you can see it. It's going to be a nice little summer throw on top of a dress kind of deal. I think I did record what this is, but I'm excited about it. The pattern I am doing. So I just started it, and then I'm winding the lace weight yarn. Was heavy duty. Which, if I'm going to take it on this trip, I probably should wind. Well, maybe I won't. That's the thing. I got to wind more of that lace weight yarn. And I'm cranking, and it takes forever. So what I'm doing with this is the Cumulus Blouse. So I made the Phantom Fizz with something that was very similar using it. But now why is that not working? I can't get this to work. Let me get in my library. I'll show you the Cumulus Blouse. There's a Cumulus tee I just found out. This is the Cumulus Blouse. I thought it's really pretty. So that should go. And yeah, probably that. Lace and Fade Boxy. And I don't know about the Arctic Light. I think I'm crazy to bring that. But I want to do the cabling. And she's having knit along, and I feel like I want to be in it. I don't know. So many things I want to knit. I do have to spend time with grandkids and all of that. So, one other thing. I have not cast it on, but we did go to New Orleans in January to celebrate my birthday, and it was the perfect day. So my birthday was on a Sunday. That's the day we flew down to New Orleans, and we got there around 1 o'clock, and we went out and we had a nice brunch, and then I had, of course, Googled yarn stores in New Orleans, and there was one, and it happened to be open on Sunday because we were meeting people there who I knew would not want to go to the yarn store, but since it was my birthday, we went to the yarn store because my husband, of course, would do anything, and they did have a husband chair in there. So the place we went to was called the Quarter Stitch, so it was in the French Quarter, the Quarter Stitch, and right in the French Quarter, New Orleans, Louisiana. They have a website, www.quarterstitch.com. So I wanted a souvenir, so I said, well, what do you have that's unique to this store? So they have a dyer. Her name is Sugar Plum Circus, and I bought 2 skeins of fingering, 100% fine superwash merino, 437 yards per skein, in the colorway Scuba. And the color just kind of reminded me of New Orleans. It's coming across blue, but it's more of a blue-green. It's really not a accurate representation of the color, but it's very cool. And I bought 2 skeins of it, and I have swatched with it, and I have picked a pattern which was actually at the store in New Orleans, and I saw it made up, and I just thought it was super cool. And it's the Norvestan. It's a vest. Unfortunately, this picture of it is dark blue, but it's got some eyelet up near the shoulders. So it's got some really cool details that I think will show up really well with the scuba color that I got, and I'm excited about it. By Vivian AAS. Norvestan. Norvesten. So I haven't cast that on. And I got a whole closet full of stuff on the needles. Which brings me to my very last thing. So I went in there. I'm trying to go in there and work on a project, which is what those socks were. And then, of course, I used up that cashmere pink yarn. But that was a win-win because I could go buy new yarn and use up old yarn. I have in my work in progress, I have this sweater, which I don't know if I've talked about this or not, but it's a cardigan. And it's got like this kind of fishbone pattern and a cable. And I had thought this would be good. I think I did talk about it on another episode. Would be fun. You know, my son would wear it. My youngest son, he wears stuff like this. So I started knitting on that again, and I hate knitting on it. I love the way it looks. It's a lot of wrapping. You know, that's how you get those fishbone things. It's a lot of wrapping. And I love the finished product, not enjoying the process. So I thought, well, maybe I should just repurpose that yarn for something else, which I have done in the past. But I don't want to do it for this because I really think he would really like the cardigan. So we'll see. I haven't made any final decisions on that. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So lots going on. It'll be very interesting to you and to me to find out what Julie knits in her time in the RV. We'll see. Still thinking about what I'm going to take with me. It's a lot. So we're heading from here to Charleston to the Food and Wine Festival, beginning of March. Then from there to Alabama. Our son lives just over the line from Georgia. He's an Army Ranger. He's at Fort Benning. They have 4 kids. We're going to pick up our RV and we're going to head to the east coast of Florida, where my almost 91-year-old mother is living with her new husband of 4 years, who's also 91. Spend a week there. And then from there, we're going to head down to the west coast of Florida and spend 3 weeks with friends of ours from up north, near Venice, Florida, and then back up to Alabama and spend some time with that family. And Charleston is a family as well, one of our other kids. And then up to Nashville, spend time with that family, and then home. So that's what's happening in my world. I hope things are going well in your world. It's almost spring, so start thinking about maybe knitting something other than that Arctic lake. I don't know. You can knit whatever you want at whatever time of year you want. Just do what you enjoy. So thanks for tuning in again. This is the Contemplative Knitter tuning out.